Welcome to the Very Okay podcast. Today's guest is Evan Procaccini, a local sports photographer. And today we're going to hear about his story and what he does and a little bit about Toledo Creatives.
Daniel, very okay guy. Pleasure to be here.
That's me. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being on here, man.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Yeah. We'll kind of just jump right into it. If you want to tell me kind of how you got started into your career and what you were inspired to do to start sports photography, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of background on myself. Good old 27 years old. I've been doing photography I started it in the fall of 17 is kind of when I started doing sports photography. So what is that, 4.5 years coming up on 5?
Yeah,
dang, time's flying. So I'm a little bit different in terms of my not upbringing, or how I came into photography, where I didn't study it in school. I'm all self-taught. Read basically the For Dummies book that I got from my Rebel T6i.
Classic.
Yeah, right. That my uncle got for me in Christmas of 2016. So I started with that. But what was nice about that book is it taught me a lot. It teaches you the specifics of that camera, but also just like some of the basics of digital photography. So I learned a lot about ISO, aperture, shutter speed, that kind of stuff, how they all interact. So that was nice, gave me a little bit of a background. But I would say, my inspiration for photography, being an athlete, or I should say former athlete, myself, I always loved getting to see the photos of the teams that I played on in the Blade the next day. Would always love getting to see photos just of myself playing. So I was like, all right, I started to develop a bit of an eye, because I would see what would make an action shot. Action shot. Is it like the crowd reaction? Is it, the player giving a fist bump? Like, what is it that makes like an action shot? Right. And so I think that's kind of how I developed at least my eye for it, and never really had the tools, went all through high school with no camera. Didn't really get like a smartphone with a good camera on it. I mean, because that was like the iPhone 4 era.
Yeah.
So, those cameras weren't great,
right,
by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, got the first DSLR my senior year of college that Christmas. And, actually it was my junior year that Christmas, then rolled into the senior year. And I was friends with a lot of the girls in the women's soccer team in Toledo. And I was like, hey, I'm going to probably go to a lot of these games to support them. Might as well just bring my camera. And I remember having conversations with a lot of them during study tables or when we're at the library working on stuff, and just asking does the university photographer ever make his way out to your guys' matches? And they're like, not often, maybe like 1 or 2 a year. So
seems like a shame.
Yeah. It's tough, right? You got to allocate resources, and unfortunately, they're not seen as a, revenue generating sport. So they're using photos that are years old. Some of them are seniors, and they're like, yeah, this is my photo from 2014, and it's like 2017.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I feel like I can bring some value by at least giving it a shot. I mean, if the photos end up being dog shit, then I don't have to send them anywhere. At least I can say like I tried it. And one of my friends in particular, her name's Hannah Scafaria. She was, I think it was her like red shirt junior or like red shirt sophomore year. I mean, this girl's a Band-Aid. She had like some type of, I believe this is how the story goes. I don't remember exactly all of the details. Yeah, she's a Band-Aid. She was hurt often. Well, the major thing was she had a birth defect, I believe, in both of her hips. And they couldn't do surgery on both of them at the same time. So they had to do one. So that was 6 months rehab. So surgery, 6 months rehab. Then right when that one was done, other hip, surgery, 6 months rehab. During the course, I believe, of that second hip rehab, she tore her labrum in her other hip. So she had to have another surgery, another 6 months rehab. So she was out for a long time.
Yeah.
And that fall was going to be her first time playing in the fall, because they have like a spring session as well.
Yeah.
Since basically fall of 2014. No, actually, I think fall of 2015 is when she had last played before that. So basically 2 years separated from playing, and she hadn't scored a goal since 2014. So it was like, she just was not struggling like playing, but just staying healthy. And so not like performance wise, But they had a couple games that were official. Like they always do some scrimmages at the beginning. Then they usually start the season on the road. And they had 2 games prior to the home opener. And when I get there for the home opener, I'm like, all right, I'll have my camera set up. Usually goals are kind of the cool thing to shoot. So I'll set myself up, offensively minded for this game. And the ball, I can't remember the exact play, but it kind of corralled to her. And she pounded that thing home and scored her first goal since, 2014. Like I said, hadn't played in a game since 2015.
Jeez.
And teammates jumping on top of her. Actually, I think she jumped up on a teammate and she got picked up. And it was just so cool to like capture the whole sequence. And then when I looked at my viewfinder, I was like, it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me of like, whoa, that was sick. Like that could be on the cover of, the Toledo, not the Toledo Blade, but at least the school paper or something with the athletics department. I was like, that was kind of my light bulb moment or the aha of like, this is something that I can do and actually like bring value towards.
Yeah.
So ended up covering that team that entire season. They ended up winning a MAC championship down in Kent State, or over in Kent State, I should say. And it was just cool to see, everything that they battled through as a team. And that was kind of like my spark. And I've covered the, women's soccer team at Toledo ever since. And the other team I like to cover is the volleyball team. So I like to go, cover the women's sports. They usually don't get too much notoriety. I mean, the big 3 at Toledo is the football team, men's basketball team, and then men's or women's basketball team. So
you're a real feminist icon.
You could say that. I mean, I wouldn't label myself really as anything, but you could definitely you can definitely say that. I mean,
really cool,
I know how important it was for me, when I played to have pictures of myself because it kind of makes it real,
Yeah.
Unless you have like a stat archive somewhere, you can't really like prove, hey, like I did this thing, So now, 20 years down the road, they'll be able to say like, wow, those are some cool moments, or that was like a cool part of my life.
Yeah.
And Evan played a small part in capturing some of that for me. So
that's awesome. Sounds like it's like a very emotional moment for you to like really get that spark of just like, wow, this is like you said, I'm providing, this is a value I can provide, and this is like something that makes you feel fulfilled, it seems, right? Like
it unlocked something in me. Absolutely. Like I think that was it just made me think like I wish I would have picked up photography sooner or had the tools sooner, because I don't know if I would have studied it in college per se, because I like the situation I'm in now. I'm a little different than most creatives where it's not my sole income.
Right.
I haven't made it full time. I work in the insurance industry and I love that, and that provides me a lot of financial freedom to pick and choose the projects that I want to do and stuff really like that. Yeah, which is nice. But yeah, man, I think that was a big turning point in my life in terms of, I still shoot obviously to this day and I just enjoy it. Like I have fun with it. I think there is some angst as I continue to push myself creatively and not have a lot of technical background knowledge. I think that can be difficult at times, but honestly, man, I've had just such a fun time covering sports. And, one of my best friends, his name's Brendan Furry, he plays college hockey for Minnesota State.
Okay.
And they're out of Mankato, Minnesota. And, he's had a crazy journey to get to where he's been in terms of injuries and a lot of adversity that he's had to face. And he's someone that is my brother's age. So I was a senior in high school when they were freshmen. So, I kind of got close with him over quarantine because his cousin is a kid that went to high school with me, Tyler Zalecki, same class as me. We were just in a Warzone party together, and we just played Warzone for like 2 weeks straight together. And
hell yeah,
we kind of formed a bond that hasn't been broken. So, we've stayed really close for the last 2 years, and that's who I mentioned before we started recording. I'm going to Boston next week for the Frozen Four. And so I get to go, obviously have the opportunity to go watch him play. Still trying to pull a few strings
to try to
get a credential, which it's just tough.
Absolutely.
When you don't work for a publication, when you're kind of freelance and you're not as established. So that's tough. But I got to shoot at Hockey Day, Minnesota, which has been a big day in the state of Minnesota, celebrate hockey. They usually have like a premier outdoor game. And that was them this year. They got to play an outdoor game at their football stadium on their university. or at their university, and that was a super cool experience. It snowed the whole time. Got to watch him play. So his story, to go back to that, Brendan, he has been with this program for 3 years, but this is the first year that he has actually, or the second year he's actually played. Because the first year he was on campus, he had to redshirt because of a transfer issue. Coach wouldn't release his rights. He committed to a different school. But so this year they traveled to BG for the first time of him actually playing, and he had 100 family members there each night, and family members, friends, St. Francis alums. I mean, it was just such a cool moment, and to have him score. He scored 3 goals. I think he had an assist maybe that weekend, but it's just such a cool weekend. It was surreal, and I was able to capture some great photos for him, his family, that they're going to remember, for the rest of his life. And I think, to me, I want people, especially with my sports photography, to feel that impact. And I really do want my photos to convey and evoke emotion. And I want my photos to be like a time capsule almost, or you just, when you look at it, you're you feel exactly how you did.
That's super important. Obviously, that's the whole point.
Yeah, absolutely. In that moment, I want you to kind of what's a word with a T? Transport yourself, back into that moment. And that's really what I try to convey, in my messaging and everything that I do as a sports photographer. And it's just so much fun, man. I really enjoy, when you're someone that was an athlete like myself, you're used to game day, the prep, and all the progress and everything you do to get ready for a contest, and then you got to go out and execute. And so it is nice because it's somewhat similar to the little wedding photography I do, where you get one shot. It's you can't say, hey, can you go do that dunk again? Or, hey, can you do hey, that whole first kiss thing, can you guys do that
do it
again?
over, please?
Yeah.
Right.
I know it wasn't the first kiss, but so
events are hard because you can't, it's an important job because you can't miss those moments because you have to get it. And it's hard because like I said, you can't repeat the moments. There's no it's very candid. It's an event and it's candid. You can't it's oh yeah, everyone does do the exact same thing you did. You can't just do that. You have to capture that moment in that time. And I'm sure people who are paid, like I said, you're doing this in the future, and people who are higher up and who do journalism and stuff like that, have a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure that could be similar to a wedding day where it's I need to get this moment, and if you don't, and it's interesting.
And it's funny because I do see me having, at least with things that would be captured by a photojournalist, I try to really keep a photojournalistic approach.
Right.
At least I've tailored that, I feel, in the last few years. I try to speak matter-of-factly when I post about certain things that happen. Because you notice a lot of the great members of the Toledo Creatives group here, that are members of the Blade, Becca Benson, Lizzie Hines, Kurt Stice, something. Steese. I think it's Steese. But they just kind of post and they say, here's exactly what happened. And that's what I try to do. I don't know. I mix it up sometimes, actually, because especially with the soccer and the volleyball teams, I really want, yes, every photographer likes on their posts and interaction and stuff, but I kind of try to do it as a place for the athletes to rally around. And because especially with home games, I'll have my post done relatively quick, and they'll be able to comment on it, share it to their story, and see the photos that I took of them, share that, and they can use that to propel themselves.
Yeah, so turn those around pretty quickly too, don't you?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, this last year I really honed in my process, because before I didn't realize how much of a difference upload speed mattered. So I would just do all my stuff at home, and the house I live in has a 5 megabits a second upload speed, so shit takes fucking forever.
Absolutely.
So now I literally just work at the library because they have like a 70 or 80 upload speed.
That's really nice too.
That is, I either go to the downtown one here, or I live out in Oregon, so the Oregon branch is open on Sundays from 1 to 5. So if I have a little Sunday project to do, head out there, beautiful lighting. Oh, it's just so nice.
Oh yeah.
And that way I know when I leave that facility, like my job's done. I pushed it to the client. I've got my social media post done. Like I try to get all of that like out of the way so that way it's not like lingering. Cause I mean, I got crap to do, man. I got my real job, you know, other stuff. So I can't have these things like
you gotta like push through to get more stuff done. That's how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The grind never stops.
It never does. It never does.
I guess so. Like, I'm not like familiar with sports photography. I'm not a big sports guy.
Sure.
But I'm always interested in learning new things. I love to learn. Is there anything like gear or technical wise that you think is really slightly different from other photography? Like, do you think there was something that you would need that most other things wouldn't like need, like in a wedding maybe or other events?
You know, I think the biggest difference between sports photography and maybe other mediums is you have literally zero control over light.
Yeah.
Within some degree. I even noticed, so I got the opportunity to be a shovel girl for like they always have the shovel crew and they always have like cute girls for NHL hockey games. They like go out and they shovel the ice in TV timeouts. I got to be one of those.
Hell yeah.
So I noticed their photographer that they had set up in the corner, he had strobes set up on the glass at the hockey rink. And I was like, obviously in a controlled setting like that, they obviously have some type of rule that says that's legal because usually you can't have a big old flash.
I feel like that'd be distracting.
You know? So I would say, you know, in terms of equipment, I mean, you want, especially if you're shooting sports that are either indoors or in lower light, I mean, it's tough because not all facilities are lit the same way.
Absolutely.
There are definitely some times where I'm like, the lighting here is just so much nicer than this other hockey rink.
They don't build them for like lighting, you know, that's not the point of it.
No. Well, they do for the players, but not for the photographers or like the creative people. So, you know, I'd say I knew I had to have a big enough sensor. So that's why I went to 5D Mark IV. I mean, honestly, I haven't really like invested too much in gear. I got the proper focal length. If I was going to do anything, I might get a second body so that way I don't have to keep detaching my lens.
It's always nice.
You know, but other than that, I mean, I've kept it relatively simple. You just got to have a understanding of, I think the biggest struggle is an outdoor sport where the lighting can change. Sometimes a soccer game, there'll be like, you know, intermittent clouds and it's like, just pick one. Like either be sunny or either be shady. Quit going back and forth because you got to change your settings on the fly, do all these things, and you know that can be difficult. But you know, I don't really talk too much about gear. It's really just about knowing a little bit about the sport so you can kind of anticipate. You can't try to like. It's almost impossible to follow the ball, the puck, the whatever it is. You almost got to be there before it gets there. And so, for instance, in soccer, whenever there's a corner kick, familiar with soccer at all?
A little bit here.
So yeah, like if a ball goes out off a defender on the end line, corner kick, and they usually try to do some type of either a weird pass to get somebody open for a kick, or you just do like a jump ball where you go up and try to get a header, and there's usually 3 people jumping up for it, and you kind of you have to read the ball and kind of have to guess which one's going to be the one to make contact with it, and sometimes you guess wrong. I've done that.
I didn't even think about that, like predicting where you're gonna have to do what. Because if like, you know, you're only there and you're on like a really tight lens, I assume, to do everything. So like you can only be like, and it's hard to like. I feel like when you have a tight lens like that, it's hard to like find out where you are if you're like using it. You know, so you have to like really know what you're doing. So
I've covered the soccer team and the volleyball team effectively with a 24-70, 2.8, and then a 70-200, 2.8.
70-200.
I think for soccer and football, having 100-400 would be nice.
Yeah,
especially even though the aperture is not as sharp or not as fast, you can still crank the ISO. But I mean, yes, there are times where focal length, I'm just like I don't really have a great shot because soccer fields and football fields they're wide, they're huge. But you know, for the most part with hockey, I mean, I think having a 100-400 there would help too because you know you can shoot up on the glass and that's fine, but I mean, you get some great angles shooting above the glass, up in the stands, kind of looking down. So it's just good to mix it up. I mean, you just kind of got to know where to be. And I think covering a sports team, you really want to get as many photos of everybody playing
Mm-hmm.
as you can. You know, if you just stick to one spot, you're going to get the same photos of the same people over and over and over. And I really want everyone that played in that game to have photos of themselves.
Like an individual too.
yeah.
You don't want it to be like, I get the same shot of everyone. You want to have like their own, like a personal, like.
Absolutely. Because I mean, the creative landscape, especially when it comes to college athletics, is just going to continue to shift because of the NIL, name, image, likeness rules that were passed last year. So prior to last year, you as a college athlete or an NCAA athlete couldn't profit off your name, image, or likeness in any way, shape, or form. That was like illegal.
I have heard about that. That was insane because you can't like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
So like, if you're the quarterback at USC, the school brings in, you know, $120 million a year, and they're selling. If you're the quarterback and you're number 12, they're going to be selling number 12 jerseys in the shop, and that's your jersey. You know,
it's like you can't brand yourself. Like
correct.
They own you. Like,
correct.
Yeah, that's actually insane.
Yep. So now they pretty much said, all right, athletes can now profit off their name, image, likeness, so they can create promos.
They should.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like all these boomers are like, they get paid enough with their tuition and stuff.
They don't,
it's like,
though, I don't think.
Well, it's like, I don't think the school needs to pay them more, but athletes should be allowed the opportunity. Because what is nuts, I haven't done too much research on it, but I saw a couple articles that some of if you had to guess, out of all the sports that are out there for college athletics, what do you think is the number one NIL generating sport?
I'd assume football generates. Like,
You'd
most
assume
money.
football, but what I've heard is it's women's volleyball.
Really?
That sport is so underutilized. We just had the Final Four, or maybe the whole tournament, I can't remember, in Nationwide Arena, or maybe it was at the Shot. It was in Columbus, but great product. I mean, it's so high intensity. They're so fun to watch. You know, they just got to do a better job of marketing their sports. I don't know what the NCAA's deal is. I mean, they've just rode the college football playoff and March Madness for the last, 7-8 years, and that's really been all that they've given it. But what I love about NIL is it allows opportunities for athletes to earn money off of what they do.
Yeah.
They can create a brand for themselves.
Which they should. And that's so crazy to think that they can't like make money off that, because I assume like a lot of scholarships and stuff work. They get paid for their schooling, but like, they can't work, and I'm assuming they have like a lot of responsibilities to keep their GPAs up and all that. So like,
yeah, it definitely is hard. And especially some sports, you're in season more often than others. So yeah, it's really tough to have a job or to earn additional income. So like you get your school paid for, and then you get like a stipend check, every month, and that can kind of vary depending on the size of your scholarship, or many other things. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, yeah, if somebody can partner with Liquid IV and they get paid $1,000 a month by Liquid IV, then more power to them. That's awesome.
They
I
should.
think, yeah, absolutely. But then there's people that just want to complain about it. All these athletes are so entitled, all this stuff. It's like if you're over the age of 50, just shut up.
Especially for like football and stuff like that, where like, you only have like a good like 10-15 years of like work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like in their college years, if you're not making any money, and like, I mean, they make good money if they make it, obviously, but like, it's like, there's a lot of concussions, stuff like that, and there's a lot of medical stuff that goes wrong in that kind of field, and it's kind of crazy to think that like they aren't making any money off on their own stuff. That's such a wild concept.
Like if you were an athlete and you had a big following, like I would rather be a Twitch streamer than actually play football, because you're just going to murder your body doing that and your brain.
It's the worst thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, CTE, like all the stuff that's going on, it's just insane. So it's like it's allowing people options, or for sports where there isn't a professional option or a viable professional option. Some of these people that are playing professional sports, they're making $50 to $70K a year, which isn't awful, but I mean, for as much time as you have to play, I mean, there's people that play for the Toledo Walleye that are realtors, or they have jobs, so it's like it's crazy. So
and I'm sure if they had like a photographer that could help them brand and promote themselves, they could just focus on like how they wouldn't need second jobs. They can like make a name for themselves and do all their own stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, look at my mentor, Rob Lorenzo. I mean, he's been working with so many of the Cleveland Browns, just on their lifestyle images and, ways to create branding, and because it's all about telling a story, and you need people to help tell that story. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see how it all fits in. And my whole thing is, if any of the athletes at Toledo that go on to be famous, hopefully they remember the cool photos I took.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Heck
absolutely.
Yeah. I guess what I want to know also as well, while we're still in sports, where do you see yourself, I guess, in your ideal world? And if you decide to be full-time, like I said, I feel like that you said your goal is to be full-time doing this at some point.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to.
Oh.
It kind of depends on how the marketplace shifts. I enjoy being a freelancer where, all right, hey, Evan, we want you at this game. Send us an invoice. I do the thing, send them their photos, send them the invoice. I get my money, and that's the end of that. Because I feel like if you're on staff, you're getting paid for 40 hours of work and you're working 60.
Yeah.
And I don't want to turn my passion into an overworking thing like that.
Absolutely.
And so I think where I want my career to go is I want to continue to build a portfolio and build relationships with people at different universities, different schools. I truly believe that, when I do a good job, when I'm respectful, when I'm around other people, the way I interact, people either want me there, they want me to represent their school, they want me to do, all these things. So I think ultimately where I'd like to get to is I'd have no problem submitting a credential request for the Frozen Four and getting that.
Yeah.
Issue. Whatever that takes, I don't know what it entails. But I think that's where I want to get to eventually. Cool. Is just being able to be the person that has enough quote unquote pull that they can put in your credential request and have the opportunity to work at different things.
Make a name for something, like have it known that you create value.
Absolutely.
It's kind of what it seems like, you want to be known for creating value to people. So they like know that they can hire him. Like, oh, he's going to come from this. We love to see that. Like, that's it. Like, that's our man. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. That's literally what I want to do. And, it's tough. I mean, my buddy, his name's Dylan. He played in his NHL debut back in January, I believe. My gosh, time's flying. And, I submitted photos, or I submitted a request to be able to take photos at that. And, NHL was like, hey, we can't, if you don't represent a official outlet, like media outlet, we can't honor that request. So I was like, it's a little COVID, but I mean, what's nuts is with the Frozen Four thing, there's no COVID restrictions or anything right now. I think they're just trying to limit as many credentials as they give out. And it's like, so, that's the thing, at any event, they can only give out so many credentials. So it's like, how do I get myself into a position to where I'm one of the ones that's selected?
Makes sense. That's difficult. I have no idea.
Yeah. Neither do I, because obviously I haven't figured it out yet, but we're getting there.
I'll get there. I think you'll get there for sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Let's talk a bit about Toledo Creatives.
Sure.
I know we met, I think, in the very beginning of Toledo Creatives before it was officially Toledo Creatives in the first meeting, I think. The first meeting or second meeting?
I think it was the second one ever, but the first official meeting. That was in January. This is the day Kobe died.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, because I remember I was looking at my phone and I saw TMZ tweet about it, and I'm like, it's TMZ.
Is this real?
I don't know if I want to start a panic, without it being official. And I was like, oh shit, Kobe's dead. So R.I.P.
What a day.
But yeah, so that's when, you and I met. But the Toledo Creatives, I think it was crazy timing because that was the start of, we didn't know what was going to happen after that. I mean, who could?
Yeah.
But yeah, Toledo Creatives were a group here in the Toledo area comprised of creative people of all experience levels, creative mediums, whether that be makeup artists, photographers, videographers, musicians, people that record podcasts like yourself, graphic designers, really anything creative. We want to create a space for that. There's a group that's run by the Toledo Chamber of Commerce, the Regional Chamber of Commerce, I should say, called Epic Toledo, where it's kind of like a business networking organization, and a lot of people from Dana, Owens Corning, GJM, all these places. And that's more of a business networking, which is good. I think that's important. Yeah. But for me, my involvement with the group is I want to create and cultivate a community of creative people. And really, I remember when I first started, it seemed like the creative community was pretty cutthroat. You'd look and see new artists either on Twitter or whatever asking for feedback, and they just get You know,
really?
Yeah. Oh, it just seemed like, or on Reddit
That's
too.
probably me getting absolutely bashed.
Dude,
for
yeah,
buying
it's
Brandon
just like,
Wolfel.
yeah. So it's like, I don't, but we all did at some point. Come on. But it's like, so I'm like, well, okay, I don't want to reach out to anybody now. So I really want, when people look at the Toledo Creatives, to know, like, I feel like the word safe space gets like thrown out, not a lot, but it has like a different connotation. But it's literally like, you're allowed to like grow within this group. And honestly, for some people, the group isn't for everybody. You know, there's some people that are at a point in their career where they might not need the group. And I think that's kind of a good thing. Like, you know, it's almost like, I don't know, maybe I'm misdefining the group a little bit, but, you know, because the leadership's comprised of 3 other people, including myself. So Noah Kokensparger, Kelsey Mackley, and Jacob Limp are all part of the leadership group with us. And Ellen is like a part-time consultant. She took a little bit of a step back, but she'll be back soon.
Absolutely.
She will. She doesn't. We can't get rid of her. We've tried. I'm just kidding, Ellen. I love you. But,
she's a million.
Yeah, no, we want you back, please. Yeah, man. The group, we had a lot of momentum at the end of 2020. I mean, our June, July, August meetups each had like 40 plus people, which was freaking cool. When we were planning these things, I remember thinking in my head, like, all right, if we got like 10 people, it'd be awesome. Yeah. Then like, holy shit, people just keep showing up. Oh my God. And I think what was so cool about it is so many people are like, oh my gosh, I followed that person forever. Yeah. Because a lot of us have like our online persona and like our real names nowhere in it or like not attached to it. So I remember like, oh my gosh, that's Mark Atlas. Yeah. And now me and Marquise Martinez are like really, really good friends. And we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the Toledo Creatives, you know? So actually, I think him and no, we did meet because of the Toledo Creatives. I remember being at that meetup and like thinking, wow, that is a really, really cool dude. I want to be like him.
He'd be stoked.
Yeah. So we like met up for a shoot around and stuff. And that's kind of how we met. And, you know, so the whole thing is, if you're somebody in the Toledo area that is looking for a home, wants to do some stuff with some other creative people, Toledo Creatives, check it out. It's pretty fun. I mean, I've had a lot of value brought to me from the group. I mean, it's just nice having a Facebook group where you can post, ask for feedback on things, or hey guys, you know, I'm new to the area or new to the business. Like, how might I price something like this? And you can have so many amazing people like yourself, like Grant, like Ellen, that come in and they provide insight, and they feel like, or Rebecca, you know, she's pretty active in the group. Trumbull, she's always, you know, saying, hey, here's what's worked for me. And it's just awesome. Like, I think we have a really good group, and with any group with people will be people. But I felt like in the history of the group, there's been a couple moments where it's like, ooh, this comment section could get out of hand.
I've seen those.
And it's been, but it's been pretty tame. Like,
it's a learning experience too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But I felt like, you know, everyone's that's had disagreements, we've gone about them respectfully, and we've had like it's brought forth discussion. Like, people have actually like talked about things and like let down their egos and been willing to like listen to other people's opinions on stuff. And I think that's what makes our group so special is, you know, we have a multitude of people with a multitude of opinions and on different things and social issues, whatever it is, but we all come together and we know we're here to create and we're here to inspire other people. And it's just kind of what we freaking do, man.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I've been part of it, I think, since the beginning as well. I'm not a part of the leadership or anything, but like, I'm pretty sure in 2020, I made it to almost every meeting except for maybe 1 or 2. Sure. And I was always there. I've always been a big fan. I always thought it was like a really good resource. Yeah. Like, as a videographer and a photographer, I always find it's nice to like, just like to talk to people about nerd shit. Sure. I love to nerd out. So I love to talk about nerd stuff. I'm a huge fan of peer review. Is like one of my favorite things. So like at the beginning, it was a lot of like, what do you think about this? What do you do? How can I get better? Like you said. And then also like, it's also a good resource. Like when I shoot weddings and stuff, it's like, hey, I need a second shooter who's available. And it's like all this. And like, I've met a lot of people that I really like doing that. And like, I couldn't even like mention, like you said beforehand, like you said, I followed a handful of people, but like, I knew them from just like their stories they posted, but I didn't know them personally. But now I didn't know Wandering Wolf. Yeah. You know what I mean? But now I know Lang. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was to me the whole thing. It was so rewarding at those early on meetups where people would be like, oh, like I followed that person forever. I'm going to go say hi. Like to me, that's what it's about. Cause it's so easy
in the creative world to isolate and kind of do your own thing and stick to yourself. I'm talking to you, Rob. Come hang out with us, dude. We get it. You're cool. I love Rob so much, but you know, I just love it. I have so much fun with the group. I feel like whatever I put into it, I get out, you know, tenfold. And you know, we just want people to come check it out. You know, there's no dues. Yeah, we have events that like cost money sometimes, like a Mud Hens game or a Walleye game,
It's
but
never expensive though.
it's like, no, not at all. You know, and it's like we just want people to have the opportunity to just hang out with other creative people. You know, it's not like it's something you have to do or think like, oh, I'm gonna make this like lifetime commitment. But you know, you might look and see, oh, that's an event, you know, I might want to go do. And, you know, kind of as we branch out and, you know, who knows what the future holds for Toledo Creatives, man.
Could be anything.
Could be anything.
So I've always like I said, now I'll go out in public and I'll see people. Like I remember, like I'll go out and I'll see like someone like Diana from Swatch, and she like said, "Hey, hi." I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Or like anyone, like I see Doug out all the time covering events.
I mean, who doesn't?
So, like, I know, right? But we love Doug. It's like it's always nice to see him, so we can talk to him, and it's like it's nice to see people, and like I think it helps really build like a community between people.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, we're going to continue to build stuff. And like I said, who knows where the freaking group goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it might be good. It's just as is, or we could expand it, or, you know, who knows what we're going to do. We're just trying to do a minimum of at least one meetup a month. Yeah. And, you know, we might try to do some other things. And, you know, it's been tough. I think we've all had, you know, a lot going on in our lives, at least with the leadership group, the last probably 3 or 4 months. And so, you know, we're trying to get back at it and keep the momentum going.
Cool. Hell yeah. How's what was your journey into being kind of someone who was in the beginning meetings and then to part of the leadership position?
That's a good question. I don't really remember it fully. I think like Jake, because when Jake moved to DC, like kind of permanently, and we're like, well, it was kind of his baby. Yeah. Like, hey, Jake, do you want to like help us? Like, it was just, I don't know. I kind of forget how it all happened. I think we were just like, hey, me, Ellen, Noah, Jake, let's just hop on like a Zoom call and like just talk about some like planning for the stuff. And it's just kind of how it went. We were like, let's just meet weekly and just kind of keep it going. So yeah, it wasn't like there wasn't like an election process or like anything like that. And so to that end, I would say if you're somebody that has fresh ideas and you're looking for leadership experience, I mean, we probably wouldn't want 20 people on the leadership team, but
everyone.
Yeah, I mean, but and it's something where if you even just wanted to try it out, like come plan some stuff. The balance we try to strike is we don't want everything to come from us, like the 4 people on the leadership team, because it's not us. Like it's about the group. Like it's the group. It's a group. It's a community-driven group. Like But we just know, like if we didn't plan these things, they probably wouldn't get. Like I hate saying like officially planned, because that's the thing. Like if you have this idea for a podcast, you're starting it. It could be the Toledo Creatives podcast for all we care. Like it's not like we're not holding on to this name and like anything. So Grant, you know, great example. He came in and he had the idea to do the critique nights over at Westcott, and that's amazing. I told him, I'm like, dude, you can brand it as Toledo Creatives critique night, anything you want. Like it's because we can only do so much work as 4 people with jobs and other responsibilities and stuff. So if someone had an idea like, hey, I have this great idea for a meetup, it's like, awesome, let's do it. Like all Toledo Creatives is a sandbox. Boom, go do what you want. Like you can run any idea past us and we'll give you full support to see it to the end and, you know, do whatever we can to get that done. Are you going to the lighting workshop tomorrow?
Yeah.
Same.
I'm about to take it immediately.
Literally same.
I was like, my man, I want to learn more about lighting. I just like, that's a big thing.
I know nothing. I have a single strobe. I recently had a interaction with somebody. They're like, why do you have your subjects so close to your backdrops and with your studio work? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Is that like that's a decision you make? I thought you just put them there and that's where you shot.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Like I don't know what I don't know. So that's the whole thing. Like I know I can't get better on my own accord. Yeah. I have to. It's all having an outsider's perspective. So I'm excited. You know, I've unfortunately haven't been able to make the last couple of critique nights, but I'm excited to like learn more about this lighting workshop, see what other lights are out there. And
Mhm.
I've been testing a few people's, setups and stuff like that. And I kind of want to see what works for me.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to switch to mirrorless at some point here shortly,
Hey,
but I'm
man.
gonna stick with Canon.
Canon, yeah.
So I just got decisions to make. I'm just right now. I'm like locking it down. I'm saving a bunch of money and stuff. But who knows where that's gonna go? But I just want to keep learning more.
Yeah.
And it's just my curious mind. Like I know someone like Grant. Like, dude, he's just so freaking good.
Yeah.
With like light, and so
He
it's like,
knows his lighting. Like that's like, yeah, that's like his thing. I feel like it's like lighting kind of.
And what I found is everyone through the Toledo Creatives, they've just been so welcoming. Like I go rent a studio from Josh Ball at Vanity Studios, and he's just the coolest dude in the world to talk to. He's like, hey man, like use whatever you want. Here's some soft boxes. Here's some other lights. You want to try some stuff? Give it a shot. Like it is just nice having people like that. Like Rebecca, she's been on maternity leave. Congrats to you, Becca. Hopefully your kids are doing. Is it one kid, two? I can't remember. But either way, you're gonna be an amazing mom.
That's sweet.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, just the way she took care of her dogs. You kidding me? Like, how is she not going to take great care of a human being? But yeah, man, I think it's just fun to like learn from other people. And, Rob's kind of been my mentor with a lot of things. And I think Noah has been a bit of a mentor of mine in terms of like how he runs his wedding business. And Colby Wells has been a mentor of mine with, I think him and Noah are at least somewhat similar temperament. So I kind of learn a lot from them in the same degree. And, it's just, you can pick and choose what you want to learn from certain people. And you kind of mesh that into like, boom, the Daniel or the Evan, that we see. Like we're all, at least me, I'm just small bits and pieces of all the people I look up to and respect. And that's what makes,
I think that's
Evan
how
Noah photo.
That's kind of how we learn though. I feel like it's always like you imitate until you learn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of how everyone learns. And I'd say the same thing. Like I said, I started like, it's like, Brandon Wolfel. I was like, oh, he did some cool stuff. And other people who were local in the area, I followed. I'm like, I want to do stuff like this. Yeah. You copy, you learn, and you put it together. And that's kind of like, it becomes your own style. It's like, where else do you get the information from? You know what I mean? It's cool
because like I find inspiration directly from our group.
Yeah.
I don't even follow Brandon Wolfel or like Jeremy McKinnon. Like I know they do like awesome work. They're great big YouTubers, like all this stuff. But
Peter McKinnon?
Peter McKinnon. Jeremy McKinnon is the lead singer of A Day to Remember.
I was like, wait, what?
That is fucking hilarious.
If it means a lot to you, man.
Disinfect your surroundings, baby. But I'm glad you caught that because I was like, did I say the right name? I don't think I did.
I like heard it and I was like, is that right? I don't know if it is. I'm like, oh
right,
wait.
Right. So I don't even. That's the thing. Like I don't even like. Not that I don't look up to them, but I literally don't even follow them or like look at their YouTube channel or anything. Like I always love to see the work that you do, the work that Marquise does, that Grant does, Ellen, like everybody. Like I just get so inspired by the work. I mean, Abby Turner, like her whole story, everything that she's been doing, like through all this, like it's just cool. Like the inspiration we can get, or at least I can get from the people within our own community. And I think that's kind of like the whole thing of it all,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
that's awesome. Well, love to hear a story. That's amazing. I love the Toledo Creatives, and I'm here for that. Is there anything that you'd like to plug before we kind of end this out?
Sure. Yeah. I go by Evan Photo on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter, like a business Twitter, but I do have a business Facebook. It's funny because I remember when I was creating like the branding for myself, I went with Alex Dart. He made my logo. He's amazing. Go to him for any of your graphic design needs, especially if you're a photographer, want a logo.
He's a good dude.
He's a great dude. But I remember it's like, I don't want the word photo or like photography in my name because that's basic as shit. But then I was like, well, my name's Evan Procaccini and my business is Evan Photo. I was like, I'll just keep the same initials for everything. So yeah. Evan Photo. I mean, I would love to do any type of sports, but I do all types of work. I mean, you can book me for senior portraits, for family portraits, product photography, basically whatever. I'm your guy. I want to capture special moments for you, and I want you to know that whatever moment is meaningful to you, I'm going to treat it as meaningful for myself, and hopefully, that gets conveyed in the photos and the work that we do.
Cool.
In the words of the great Roberto Lorenzo, let's work.
Wow. Amazing. Thanks for having me on, man.
Dude.
It was nice having you.
Absolutely. Pleasure. We'll have to do this again soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to your journey.
Thanks, man.
Deuces.